went right along with push to get married fast. I wanted children. We had 2 children. Boom, boom. I wanted more children than that. He didn't want children at all. But he wanted the respectability that comes along with being a father. And so, our compromise was 2 children. I worked in the business. I worked behind the scenes in the office, set up the office stuff, and he worked out in the field. And more and more now, he was starting to identify with the business. He was starting to identify not so much as a family. He was no longer getting his identity from being married to me and the respectability that comes along with being a family man married to me, as it was being a successful entrepreneur. And he didn't want to share that limelight with anybody. And he resented that, like our stuff said, our business was family owned. He didn't like that. He had changed it behind my back. He had changed it to locally owned with his name only. And I was naive enough to go ahead. I told myself, well, he needs this for his ego needs. I don't need it. What do I care? He can go ahead and put his name on everything. The only one that got a paycheck was him. I didn't get a check in my name, which was fine. We were going to change it eventually anyways, but the business was ours, the profits were ours, so what, why did I need a paycheck? We always joined all of our money together, and I handled the money, so I was never worried about that. Money really, we never had much money, and then everything we had we made together, and so it just seemed like a no-brainer. He didn't have any money that didn't belong to me, and we knew that, so I thought. But more and more, the better life got, the worse our marriage got. The more our goals seemed to come to life, the worse he treated me. And I couldn't figure it out. And I just kept working harder and harder and harder, trying to do things to, make him happy. And the more that I did, the worse it got. And so I was just, really beside myself with depression when all of a sudden one day I have a heart attack at 33 years old. Now I'm going to link a video. I have this story in a separate video, my heart attack story. But there's the heart attack story, and then there's also a whole near-death experience that I have that I'm not going to go into here because they're stories in and of themselves, and you don't need to know that to go along here with what we're doing. But basically what it is I had given up. Like I was a doula, and I was really interested in midwifery and all of that, and being a health educator for women, and so I had a little business doing that when he decided when this business opportunity came up to go into together. So I put all of those things on hold to go and help him do this construction thing, and those were things that I just one day just hoped that I would have a little thank you, honestly and truly. There might have been some harder stuff there. That wasn't intentional, but definitely, to some degree, I was doing the things you do as a spouse. I was doing the things you do as a part of a family. I was doing things that you do to be as a team player. I was definitely doing all that. But where I was making the mistakes is that I just didn't have solid enough boundaries, and I didn't have standards that said, no, you may not treat me that way. I was just always so, I wanted to be loved so badly that I had to always assume I was loved. I had to always assume the best of people, and I had to always assume that I was loved. And so whatever they were doing, I could make up some excuses for it because they loved me, and I loved them. And, so this was a really not an empowering place to be in. I was constantly making excuses to myself for their behavior and telling myself the basic thing, which was, I know that they have a hard time showing it, but I know if I ever really needed them, they'd be there for me. Okay, that is about to get tested because they weren't there for me. And in fact, after this happens, there's another very rare complication that happens, and in the end, I have a near-death experience. I'm resuscitated right there in front of my husband, or I die. I'm dying right in front of my husband. He gets escorted out. I get resuscitated, and I am left injured. And what happens from that point forward is swift and cruel and brutal. And within a year, my husband has abandoned me. He has convinced our entire social circle that that the heart attack and all of this was drug related. That I'm crazy. That I'm a drug addict, and that he's been trying to get me to get help. I've been refusing to go, and he does the thing where I had said earlier that he's going to pull that thing out that I first confided in him when we first started dating. I was telling him about my mother and how I asked her if she would help me figure out why I didn't remember anything, and that she got very offended. He pulled that out and had told my parents, basically, because everyone knew about my depression. My depression was getting fairly well known because I was telling people about it because it was so painful, and I needed some help. I needed some help with the kids. I was just really, really struggling, and I honestly didn't know what was the matter. I really didn't. I didn't put together, and I was so loyal to my husband that I didn't ever tell my parents the way that he was treating me. I never did. I never told anybody the way he was treating me because I had such shame. I was loyal to him for one thing, and I didn't want to tell people and then have, in my mind think, oh, then they're going to hate him, and then he'll turn around and be fine. We'll get past it, and everyone else is going to know that he was this jerk before. I don't want people to know that about my husband. He loves me. It's all going to work out. So these are the kinds of things I would tell myself. So basically, I am not set up at all. By the time he gets done telling everybody about me, I haven't told anybody anything about him, and so now it's too late because now it just sounds like I'm trying to do what he did. I'm trying to get people to not believe him or whatever. And so so my loyalty to him really helps him because I'm also more than willing to say, yeah, I probably deserve it, or yeah, I'm more than willing to accept blame for things that are not my fault, because that way, if I accept blame for it, then I can go on believing that he loves me. If I'm to blame for whatever is going on, so he's telling me that so I have all these injuries, and I tell him a year or so later that I really should get off all the pain pills because it's not getting better. It's been a year, and they're not doing anything to fix it. See, I should probably go to detox because I've been on these pills for a year or something. I should probably get off of them. And he tells me that he can't help me out, that I don't need to do that, there's no time, that he's got a business to run, blah, blah, blah. I asked my mother if she can help me out with the kids so that I can do that. No, she's got a vacation planned. Nobody has the time. Everyone's acting like it's not a big deal, just, And so I make this plan with my husband. Okay, can we put it off for, until the rainy season? Can I go then? Okay, yeah, sure. So that's the plan. I'm going to go in 6 months. He spends that 6 months telling everybody in the community that I've got a drug problem and that he's trying to get me to get help, and I'm refusing to go. So, and just completely lying about me and completely setting me up for him to abandon me, which he does do when I go to detox. When I finally go to detox with his promise that he's going to be there to help me when I get out, because I'm really injured. I'm really, really injured, and I have no idea how it's going to be. And it was really one of the lowest blows. I mean, one of the absolutely the worst, most irresponsible, cruel things that anyone has ever done to me, because he has me wait, put my health on hold, wait, And then just so that I can have his support. And I don't tell anybody that he did that either. I don't tell anyone that he's told me to wait for 6 months, to keep taking pills and to wait. I don't tell anyone that because I don't want to make him look bad. And also, the main reason is because I don't want people to know. I'm ashamed of it. I'm ashamed that, I'm starting to figure out the writings on the wall about how little my husband thinks of me, and I'm ashamed of it. And so, and also I have a huge problem with needing people, because I've been taught in my childhood that it wasn't okay for me to need anybody. And so, I'm all fouled up in my thinking about what I'm entitled to. My own mother wouldn't help me out for 5 days, with the grandkids. Here's the thing. I was all my life, I was going to be lovable later, like, you'll be lovable when you grow up. You'll be lovable when you can drive yourself. You'll be lovable when you can have your own job and earn your own money. You'll be lovable when you go to college. You'll be lovable when you graduate from college. You'll be lovable when you get married and live in your own house. You'll be lovable when you give me grandchildren. Okay? So it's always one step away. Am I going to be lovable and okay and acceptable? And so now I've given them the grandchildren. And the whole thing was, because I used to wonder, why is my mother used to say, you think your grandmother's so perfect. But that's the difference between mothers and grandmothers. I have all this responsibility. I'm going to love it one day when I'm a grandmother and I can just be the fun one and just blah, blah, blah. And, it's your responsibility to be the mother. I go, okay, great. Well, we get there, and it's not like that. She is not like my grandmother. She never looks at my kids the way that my grandmother looked at my brother and me. I can tell it right away. She just doesn't, she doesn't enjoy. So, and I actually kind of feel for my mom, actually, because I believe that she actually said that, hoping it was going to be true. I think that she really hoped that she would be a grandmother like my grandmother was, and she just wasn't. She just didn't have it in her. She just didn't love. She really couldn't love. And what a sad, terrible thing that is. And so, I believe that she did the best that she could. I believe that she loved my kids as much as she ever loved anyone, and certainly more than she loved me. But it wasn't like my grandmother, and it wasn't even close to a normal kind of a love, where you would be protective and you would put the children's needs first. In this, so in the whole way that everyone handled themselves, all I wanted, all that I ever hoped for was that everyone would put the children first, that the children's needs would come first. If that had happened, everything would have gone completely differently. So I'm the kind of person, I'm completely naive. I have no idea what's coming down the pike. When I go into the hospital, my husband basically abandons me, and he's able to convince my family to abandon me too by telling them that all this depression, I've told him that, I'm having these flashbacks and these memories of my childhood, and I'm blaming all my depression on my bad childhood. This is what he tells my parents. There is not an ounce of truth to it. Now, maybe when I originally told him the story 10 years earlier, there might have been a little bit of truth to my wondering about it then. But at this point, 10 years later, the only thing I know in the immediate circumstances is that he is being so mean to me, and he's never coming home. We're no longer having sex. He acts like I have done something to make him just hate me. I mean, he has just started to hate me, and he is so abusive to me and to the kids. And there's just completely unpredictable. I'm constantly walking on eggshells, and it's just a nightmare. He feels completely entitled to his anger. There doesn't have to be any sort of a reason for it, and he's just completely emotionally abusive to me and the kids, and he's actually physically abusive to the kids, and so I don't ever leave them alone, which is his plan. He doesn't want to be left alone with the kids. So that worked out really well for him. So I even get, if I have to leave, I get a babysitter to be with the kids even when he's home. He's never left alone with the kids. And that's the way he likes it. But he's rarely home. And so my life pretty much at the point when I have this heart attack is that he's gone before the kids are up in the morning, and then he stays out. Now he's usually a go to bed early, get up early kind of a person, but now he stays out till all hours of the night, just trying to be gone, just trying not to be with me. And then when he comes home, he like passes out in his clothes on the couch in the guest room. And so, you know, this is what our marriage has come to. And so eventually, when I go in for this detox, he just leaves. He abandons me. While we are in the process of building this dream house that he insists that we need, this dream house, which actually, I'm not sure if this was always the plan, but it becomes just this way to run money through and lose it. And, you know, he is doing all kinds of crafty stuff with our business books and this house that we're building, and ends up like signing loan documents with my forged signature. He ends up just doing all kinds of crafty stuff with forged signatures and all kinds of stuff. But all the while, we are continuing on in this counseling, and he keeps telling me, he keeps stringing me along with this notion that he really is interested in saving our marriage. That this is, he really is convinced that he is concerned about my drug use, right? And so he continues this even with the whole detox scam thing. He just continues on as though, you know, he's just unfazed by, you know, obvious lies. It just like, you know, just keeps going along as though there was no obvious lie there. He just keeps going along, doesn't skip a beat. And I get caught up in, I'm on the defensive, I'm on the ropes from the beginning, you know, defending something that doesn't require any sort of, you know, my life is enough of a defense, but I still am like now doing this defending. And so anyways, but we move into my friend Griffin and Maeve's, their parents' guest house. I asked them, because I think it's only going to be like, we run into a little bit of a glitch with some time frames, and it's just going to be an extra month or a couple of months until we can get into our new house, supposedly. I wasn't into it at all at first, but because I loved the house that we were in, and it was very manageable, and the doctor had said no stress, but then my husband insisted that, you know, this is too good of a deal to pass up, and we definitely need to do it, and I knew there was no telling him no. If I just said no, he would have resented me and he would have just punished me, and I would have known it every single day I would have had to hear about it. So, you know, even though the doctor said no stress, we went ahead and took on this stress and of building this house. But I took it as a sign that he was still really committed to our marriage. And I don't know if it was always a plan, if it was always part of the plan. I don't know. But that would certainly be cruel if it was, because, you know, he let the kids pick out their carpet, and, you know, we were all acting like it was going to be our house. And, you know, he definitely sold us on a dream. So I don't know if he was always planning on it or not. But he definitely didn't seem to have the sad sense of loss about this dream that I did. Okay, thank you.